Welcome everybody to today's weekly town hall meeting, April 25th, 2022. Today's agenda is projects and development updates, marketing updates, Q&A, and collaboration updates. Robinson, can you please start us off with projects and development updates, please?
The updates follows a similar format which we are following, starting with the process improvements and going to the individual project updates. So to begin with the process improvements, there's a huge list. Most of the items are on track or completed. So we have the last item, which is the elk. This is still in progress, and as I had indicated during the previous weeks, it's going to take more time because we are swamped with various DevOps activities. So that's on the process improvements. Now, starting on the project improvements, the first item is the Dex UI, which is deployed on the production URL market.peerplays.com. So we have 0.72 available in production, and currently the latest version which is being QA'd is 0.74. So these are the ongoing improvements. We have quite a lot of bugs under progress, and there are no future improvements or future new features being added at this point of time, because we're kind of stopping the development where it is, and we'll be only addressing the important bugs at this point in time. Okay, the charts looks pretty static. We only have the QA happening, so this will remain. These charts are going to remain pretty static for a while.
Bobison, I have a comment on this. So we are going to do a QA build pretty soon, and there will be more update on this.
Okay.
More progress on this.
So this is our historical performance table. So we have, as indicated, there are a few items in review, and I think it's very good to see that there are only 2 bugs being raised in a period of last 2 weeks, because this is a cumulative update for last 2 weeks. So the number of bugs are hopefully going down. That's a good sign. Next UI, which is our next generation Dex UI, where we are adding all sort of new features, Web3 support, etc. We are actively I would say we are actively completing the discovery phase. Most of the UI screens and everything is being done, but we don't have the functional specs and detailed functional specs and the test cases to be ready. So we took a kind of a different approach here to have as many screens as possible to be completed, and then from the next month onwards we'll be working on the more formal items like the functional specs and test cases, etc. And we also have QA releases, not exactly QA release, CI/CD URLs are being live, where we can see most of the screens under development. Okay, here we do have a lot of activity. The burn down and burn up charts, as we can see, there is a lot of activity here. So this is a result. So we've been trying to come up with accurate estimates for this project, but we don't have a very good WS or WBS here. But what we have is we have been trying to estimate the time of completion based on the GitLab tickets, and been trying to do an earned value analysis. So those charts are here. So I won't get too much detail into this, because since we don't have some of the documents and resulting test plans in place, these estimates are good efforts, but may not be able to give an exact picture. The next item is the Dexport project. So we are actively verifying this against the latest blockchain builds, and we are also trying to test this against Irona, which is our internal testnet. So this once this internal QA is done, we'll proceed with the releases. So that's on the Dexport. On the blockchain, so we were supposed to do a mainnet release last week, but we realized that we wanted to continue support for older Ubuntu versions, and the build was failing due to certain libraries which was not present in Ubuntu 18.04. So we have extended, we have canceled the release, and now we're trying to bring back Ubuntu 18.04 support. So this is being worked on right now. And another major process which is happening is we have started with the Ethereum Suns development. So we're trying to get our QA environment or the development environment ready, and Dockers and everything is being built. So once we'll be spending a little while on this discovery phase, and then we'll start formal development activities, which will be starting with documenting functional specs and everything else. And in addition to that, we are also extending the Sun voting capabilities. And there won't be any major features being added here except for these support activities and refactoring. And the next major feature on the chain is going to be the Ethereum Suns. And once we have the 1804 support verified, we will have a release. But I think it's going to happen sometime around May 15th or so. So this is being actively, this releases. So right now we don't have an exact date, because right now what's going to happen is we'll have to test on 1804 and 2004, which is the kind of the newest Ubuntu release, or the version out there, LTS version out there. And since these changes that we're going to make, it's going to impact the ZMQ and the Bitcoin Suns, essentially Bitcoin Suns. We would need some extensive testing to make sure that we're able to support both these Ubuntu LTS versions. That's a summary of blockchain activities, blockchain development. And here is our burn down and burn up chart. So we have two bugs raised, and sorry, three bugs raised, and a couple of items in review. We also have one feature completed. I think we missed out the previous week's update. So I think we had quite a few features completed in this month in April. And once we address the 1804 support, we'll have a much stable release sometime in May. Okay, the Python libraries. Here we had few issues with hierarchical role-based permissions support, so that is being addressed. Now, another major item that we need to add to the Python library is that we have not added Sun's support. So along with other bug fixes and enhancements, we'll also be adding support for Suns into the Python library. So that's on the Python side. And we only have one developer working here, so we may not see too much of activity on the Python side of things. Express NFT, we are progressing with the UI screens and also the demo. So the demo is we are exploring various aspects. We have Chris is away, one of the major contributors is away, so we have some downtime on Express NFT for the last 2 weeks. So I think from next week or so we'll catch up the momentum again. We have the burn up and burn down charts. That's all from the development team. So I think just to summarize the major update, we were supposed to have the blockchain release. So except for the Ubuntu 1804 LTS support, everything is ready. So that is kind of delayed our release, but otherwise things are looking good. And in addition to this, we are also exploring methods to add humanomics and other ideas. So that is also being discussed right now. I think sooner or later we'll have more updates related to the blockchain upgrades coming up, which will give everybody a lot more clarity on the blockchain development and the future roadmap. Thank you. That's all from the development team.
Thank you very much, Robinson. Michael, can you start off with marketing updates, please?
Hello, everybody. We have the witness campaign ads. They were running for a little bit as a bit of a test. They were modified to fit the platforms and we're active. We're running them on Reddit and Facebook. They have been paused just so that we can more accurately assess the audience that we want. We had it pretty wide before. Now we're going to do some targeting and then we'll be running them again, specifically, like I said, on Reddit and Facebook. Everything went fine with the test on the wider platform. So we have no concerns about how it's going to go. It'll just be targeted to people who will actually be interested in what we're doing. Sala is doing the work on that, on creating the audience for it. We are unable to run ads on Twitter due to their rules for crypto and blockchain financial stuff. They block a lot of the ads in order to stop having the prevalence of the scams that are out there in the industry to not be on their platform. So that is something that we are not able to do at this point. So we are just going to focus on the Reddit and Facebook, and we are hopeful that will actually be a successful campaign for us. The SWAT project for the 2022 products and items that we have is ongoing, and I'm collecting the responses internally at the moment. This week, I'm going to expand the internal side of things with respect to who sees it. It's going to jump out to some of the devs and to get a wider range of input. I expect that the wider audience that I have providing me feedback with this will give us a more robust answer on how to move forward going forward. So the first sets of responses are coming in as we speak, and this week I will be putting it out further internally with our devs and whatnot, and then they'll be opening it up a little bit to some community stakeholders as well later on as the final stage before we start putting it all together. We've also continued our design and launch of the careers landing page on peerplays.com. The development team, Will and Victor, have been working to fix a couple bugs that were allowing completion of their custom plugin to allow for job postings. That's almost done. We should start to see the job postings up there soon. And there was also a creation of a Working at Peerplays video that was recorded with Jonathan, talking about the benefits and positive things about working for Peerplays and looking at the people that we want to have applying for the positions. And the video was edited by our team, Oksana, in conjunction with Sala, looking at how to do that. And that if it's not already added to the site, should be this week. Was very happy with how it turned out and how it looked. Oksana did a really great job on that. That's it for the marketing side. We can move over into the performance. And in Sala's absence, I will be talking about that today. So with the marketing performance, the Google Analytics, as you can see, the number of visits and users and sessions were down. That's being attributed to the fact that we did pause the witness campaign. So the clicks weren't coming in from the ads that we were running, and that was expected. It is obviously expected to rise when we start running the things again. So we'll having a comparison next week when Salah's back. We'll look more at an accurate number of how things are going. It does look like, yes, it was down 86%, but again, it was just because the ads weren't being shown for a good portion of the week once we paused the test. So it should be either stable or increasing next week, and definitely increase when the campaign is running on Reddit and Facebook again. The engagement, though, is on what was posted is actually pretty decent for Facebook. Twitter is down, but the number of engagements are down because the number of posts were down as well. The LinkedIn growth is generally positive again going forward. We're hopeful that that's going to continue with respect to the information and the educational stuff that we are putting on LinkedIn going forward. Instagram's been pretty stable and YouTube's been pretty stable as well. We do anticipate increases in those as we start to change how we're going to be presenting some information. We're making some changes to how the videos are going to be done and make them more engaging, and a couple different types of strategies that we're going to take in the type of video that we're going to be presenting on Instagram and YouTube that should increase our followers and our engagement on those as well. That is it, I believe, for the performance as well. So we can go on to Jonathan with the collaboration.
Thank you, Michael. Jonathan?
Thank you very much. So for collaborations this past week and a bit, actually, we will start with in the gaming sector with Gaming Benefits Corp. So we reported this on the previous weeks. We continue to have our weekly meetings and talk about the progress they're making with applications and having a audit dashboard, which would be attached to Peerplays to utilize in these applications. So that's still ongoing and going very well. In infrastructure, we have the Internet of Things project. We've had 2 meetings over the past little while where we went into further details about how this network would work with the Peerplays blockchain, and that is also progressing well. In the gamified medical space, there's Mars VR Labs. And with them, we've started to have discussions regarding how Peerplays will be integrated into their future gamified community for rehabilitation. So very interesting application of blockchain in that regard, which would also tie into things like data storage and personal ownership over your medical data, which I think is very exciting. And then from that, community. Avalon Scenes. So there's been a lot of work being done in this in the past couple of weeks, where we've been working with Avalon Scenes in relation to setting up a community platform for Peerplays. This will be the first iteration. In this first iteration, we're looking to test it out, get it all set up in a way that is going to be conducive to the future of Peerplays. And with that's once we get that all established, we'll be looking at where it ties into Peerplays blockchain itself. And so that's going to be quite exciting, because then that's going to be able to be extended to all other clients that are currently using the community platform which they've developed. If you can go and search out Avalon Scenes and you can see their platform, it's quite impressive. Actually, it's all from the research they've taken over the past year and a bit, with working both with Discord and other kinds of platforms. And from that, they've been able to really create something that kind of like checks off all the right boxes for being able to have an effective community. So they are definitely making progress with many big companies that are looking to utilize their platform. And so with the work that we're going to do with Peerplays, we'll be able to then be able to see where it can tie into the blockchain. And from that, they'll be able to actually pass that on to all their other clients. So that'll be very interesting. I'm quite excited about that, actually. And there'll be more on that in the coming weeks. And finance. So we did have a few calls with Decentral Capital representatives. They are looking at wanting to be able to do something in regards to accredited investor services that would utilize the Peerplays blockchain. This is quite interesting. There's a space for that. Obviously, that would mean that there would be considerable amount of Bitcoin, and when we do have Ethereum Suns, there would be then exposure to Ethereum. But it's quite an interesting play that they're looking to do. I still have to have some more calls with them in order to be able to get some clarity on it. But it's looking like an interesting project, and there may be more on this in the future. So. Then in gaming, there was a few calls in relation to an esports POW, Peerplays Autonomous Organization, being set up for an organization that hails out of North Carolina. There's connections there in relation to the education sector, which is looking to utilize esports as part of their curriculum. So they are interested in wanting to create an esports POW, which would facilitate organization of these esports events as it relates to these education centers. So that was interesting. I think that there's certainly going to be a future for that. I've talked about Peerplays autonomous organizations in the past, and some other content that we put out over the past few months. And as it relates to esports, obviously we have some experience with that from the work we did in 2019 with Streamer's Edge. This organization, though, would be focused on simply facilitating the events rather than creating platform mechanism, which is what Streamer's Edge was focused on. But that didn't make it to market, unfortunately. So that collaboration with that organization out of North Carolina is still ongoing, and we're still in discussions with that. So that's looking positive, and hopefully we'll have more on that in the coming months. And that is all the collaborations over the course of the last few weeks.
Great. Thank you very much, Jonathan. On to Q&A. Questions, comments, thoughts. Thank you, everybody, very much. We will see you all next Monday at 9:30 Eastern Standard. Thank you.